So often we imagine wholeness as something far ahead of us, a summit in the distance that we'll only reach after enough proof, enough healing, enough effort. We believe we have to achieve certain things, release certain wounds, or look a certain way before we're allowed to call ourselves whole or to convince others that we are. But the truth is, you're always whole. Just like a plant is whole as a seed, as it's rooting, when it's in bloom, when it produces, even when it rests. We don't look at a plant and think it's no longer whole because it changed, because we just allow it to be in process. It's the same for you. You're always worthy of love, patience, kindness, and compassion, even when you feel shattered, even when you make mistakes, even when you fall back into old patterns, even when you're resting, stuck in shame, or feeling like you're failing. I'm Natalie, and welcome, or welcome back. This is Sacred in Bloom. I help women in midlife who are burned out from living for everyone else, create inner safety, heal what's keeping them stuck, and reignite desire so that they can live from grounded overflow with joy, authenticity, and passion. So when you get a new puppy, you don't wait to love them until they stop eating your shoes or peeing on your carpet. You understand that it's part of their growth. They're still whole, still worthy. But how often do you give yourself or others that same grace? It's tough though, right? Because the collective programming is always striving to increase your belief in your separation and your need to please others, to be who you think you should be, to serve, to behave. This way of being creates a situation where no matter how much you grow, how much you serve, how much you please others, there's never a finish line. This is because that path is one of proving, not of authenticity. That path keeps you small, keeps you fearful, keeps you from living at full luminance. You can never see your wholeness on that path because you never feel like enough, and that is by design. When you step onto the path of alignment, being enough, being whole, feeling content, even while evolving, that's all baked in. There's this awareness of, did I follow my heart? Was I true to myself? Was I comforting my fear enough to stretch into my courage? All of that is enoughness. It's wholeness. Even if the answer is no to those questions, it's seen as an opportunity, a growth point, not a failure. But you're programmed to see something not working out for you as a failure. For example, let's say you have an important relationship that ends. Not all relationships are meant to go on forever. The ending of them is not a failure. Why? Because you learned, you grew, you supported each other through that part of your life. You explored love, you explored pain, you had a mirror. These are all positive things. And if you still feel the pull of someone, they still have something to teach you about yourself, about love, about boundaries. There are many lessons. I'd suggest watching this video about how your relationships are mirrors for more about that. So the only real failure then is not letting your experiences expand you. Because even then, you always have the opportunity to hold that experience in a new way, from a new perspective. You can turn it over in your hands and examine it from a different heart space, a different head space, or decide to allow it to be part of your healing, instead of keeping it as a static architecture for a never-ending pain. It's the same with a business or a job. Losing them may not be a failure. It may be a redirection. And even then, you learned a great deal. It could be a preparation. In fact, it likely is a preparation for something coming that you may not yet perceive. But if you get bogged down in convincing yourself to label something as failure, you lose the ability to pull the golden threads from it to weave into your future experience. I have had multiple businesses not work out, some that left me tens of thousands of dollars in debt. But ultimately what I learned, not just from the companies themselves not working out, but from the betrayal I experienced in one of those partnerships, I grew tremendously. Did it work out how I wanted or how I envisioned? Absolutely not. Was it hard? Absolutely. But I can see now that I was learning. I was being redirected, and I was gaining experiences that are now resources for me that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Did I feel like a failure at the time? Sure. I think that's natural when something dissolves or doesn't go our way, whether it's a business, a relationship, a creative project. It's part of that initial period of grief and self-assessment, right? The integration of our experience. But the truth remains, you are not broken, failed, or worthless in any moment unless you agree to take that title on as if that experience is something that defines you. So someone else could say to you that you're a failure. I've had someone say that to my face before. And yet, if you are in your heart space, if you are sourcing safety from within for your inner child, if you're taking actions from alignment, you can hear that externally and know that it's not your truth. Because your experience of yourself, your willingness to be gentle with your own wounds, your desire to create and expand, to try again, to believe in yourself, that is what defines you, not the validation or projection of others. You could have every external indicator of success, money, stuff, freedom, travel, whatever it is for you, and still be miserable. Miserable because maybe your relationship is full of conflict or it feels endlessly lonely. Miserable because you're doing everything for everyone and your needs are lost in the shuffle. So you live in a big, beautiful house and you have nice stuff and you wear nice clothes or you have a great job. But every day you come home and you're exhausted, you're stressed, and you have no passion, either within your body or for your purpose. And maybe you don't have all those things, but you're still exhausted, stressed, and without passion. This is when your awareness of alignment becomes so important. You have to become consciously aware of the gap between who you show to others and who you truly are. The smaller that gap, the more you're in alignment. The more you're in alignment, the more magnetic you become to the things you are trying to bring into your life. The more you have healthy boundaries, the more passion you feel, the more joy you can access. So, how are you defining success? Is it the perception others have, or is it the feeling you have? Is it being created from fear or truly from your alignment? When you spend tremendous amounts of energy trying to protect yourself with walls around your heart instead of living from it, from your heart, expressing from it, it leaves less energy for creation, for passion, for living your purpose. The emotion, the energy is being diverted because it's unexpressed. So you're functioning from contraction instead of from expansion. So how do you know that you're functioning from contraction? What does that feel like? It feels like fear. It feels like being chronically tense in your body. It could feel like always having stomach issues for a lot of people. You're focused on the judgments or criticisms, spoken or not, from other people. How many times do you avoid doing something you want to do or saying or trying something that you want to say or try simply because you believe someone might judge you, hurt you, or criticize you? Not because they actually have, but because you think they might. You're running an old program, maybe from when you were little, your parents, bullies at school, your siblings, even an old relationship. They all contribute to this inner voice that tells us, don't do that. You'll get hurt. You don't deserve that. They won't believe you. That's a stupid idea. If you do that, they won't love you, etc. I'm sure that you know exactly what that voice says. This is where you need to learn to pause, breathe. Let that voice know it's not actually protecting you. It's just keeping you small, and that's enough of that. Take a moment to hold your inner child and tell her with your hand over your heart, baby, I've got you. You aren't going to be bullied or abandoned or punished. And even if you do feel like that for a minute at first, it's okay. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to hold you. And the pain will only last for a few moments because we don't have to internalize it anymore. Other people's judgments don't have to be our truth. You're safe because I've got this, and I'm here, and I'm strong. How much energy does that free up for you? How much more experience can you allow in when you source your own safety like that? It takes practice, but I can tell you it's a lot. How much tension are you holding, trying not to get your heart broken? How much avoiding, withholding, contorting, and silencing your truth is happening for that? Become authentic and see who stays. You'll survive it, and you will create space for the person who actually sees you, who turns toward your authenticity like sunflowers to the sun. What if you're someone who won't let yourself be in relationship? Or maybe you're in relationship, but you keep it surface level. What if I told you that it's not because you don't trust other people to be careful with your heart? It's that you don't trust yourself to be okay, no matter what happens. You are refusing to allow yourself to trust that someone is part of your journey and that no relationship is ever a failure. You're not trusting in your inherent wholeness, in the coexistence of unity and freedom. And I'm not saying that you should not have discernment. You should. But that discernment should come from your heart space, from your authenticity, from what feels like alignment, not from your fear or your old stories. Because when you cut yourself off from a place of fear, you aren't actually protecting yourself from pain, because there is pain in separation. And pain is part of life, right? It happens and we deal with it. And it's not always that bad either. It's often an indicator that you're going the wrong way. But sometimes it's just discomfort. It doesn't mean that we're going to cease to exist. It's more about our inability to sit with what isn't predictable or known. That's not really pain. You're just refusing to be uncomfortable because you believe it might break you, instead of trusting that it will support you in your becoming. Again, when you can comfort your inner child, you can figure out if you're actually just uncomfortable. And you can begin to stretch your ability to be brave. And that's when you start really being able to let good things in. And I want to add in here that if you are fearful, if you're avoiding pain like this, if you're avoiding judgment, if you're twisting yourself into someone else to avoid abandonment, a very important part of this process is not just pushing through or trying to think your way through it from your rational brain. You have to let yourself feel it, all of it. Create space and let your little self cry. Let them grieve, let them be afraid. And then comfort them. Keep doing it, and it will expand your capacity for discomfort and your ability to be loved and to create and to manifest. There is so much on the other side of learning how to comfort ourselves and being able to be in discomfort. Discomfort is your growth edge. So how do we feel whole, even during growth? A large part of it is by choosing that perspective, by seeing yourself as whole, even as you grow, shed, shift, and adjust, by letting yourself release the idea of failure and offering yourself a burning, beautiful, soul-level grace in your discomfort and your growth. By comforting your inner child so that you can feel their fear, honor it, and still move through it towards your most authentic self, toward the life that you actually want to create, because we keep ourselves from so much by fear. And when you can start owning the gap between who you are and who you are performing yourself to be, you are going to notice huge changes, positive changes in your life, in what comes in for you. You have to let yourself start seeing things from new perspectives. Instead of just having safety and status quo. I mean, there are some things that we want to keep in status quo, right? Maybe you like the person who cuts your hair. Maybe you like the town you live in. Or friends that you have. There are things that we can keep in status quo. But you need to take a really hard look at what should be status quo and where you need to give yourself permission to manage your fear so that you can call in more love, more abundance, more growth, more expansion for yourself. Because you are always whole and you're deserving of all of those things you want to bring in, but you have to let yourself expand into them. So I'm going to offer you this, and I just want you to take what resonates. Or even if it doesn't resonate, maybe listen to it a few times and let it see if it can soak in. You are always in access to safety, peace, and prosperity through your willingness to allow it into your experience, to align yourself with it, to trust your receiving of it. You are allowed to want, you are allowed to leave, you are allowed to say no, you are allowed to have needs. You are responsible for protecting and nourishing yourself. Let others in while also owning what's yours. You have allowed too many people unrestricted access to your energy. You are not a public water fountain for everyone to quench their thirst from. You are a light that shines without depletion. You are whole, always whole. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel and it means so much to me. Check out my guided meditations either here in my playlist or without ads inside my Patreon community. We've got lots of other exclusive content in there if you want more support. If you've gotten to this point, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting my work. It really means so much to me. And if this helped you, you are why I'm here and why I do this work. So thank you for that. And I'll see you in the next video.